All right, good evening. The time being 7:01 on November 19th, 2018. A quorum of the planning board being present, I call this meeting to order. First item on the agenda, approval of minutes. Mr. Ryder isn't here this evening, so I don't know if we want to... Oh, we don't have any minutes, that's right, so it wouldn't matter anyway, so that's fine. All right, moving on to agenda item B, committee reports, administrative actions. Any committee reports any of the members need to make? Okay, seeing none.
I should, but I'm not.
Okay. It's cryptic, but okay. Moving on to agenda item D2, 2019 Planning Board meeting schedule. So everybody had in their packets the suggested meeting schedule for 2019. Included in that is also the deadline dates for any submissions by petitioners and whatnot. Unless anybody has any issue with the dates that they know of right now.
I have one question. I thought our meetings were the first and the third week of the month. And the way it's laid out now, our second meeting is a week away from the first meeting the next week, the next month.
Yeah, I've seen that too. I think the week before, Bob, is a vacation week, maybe?
It's 3 or 4 times.
Yeah, I've seen that.
What's that?
Well,
I'd like to
January 28th and then next week.
Table it?
Yeah.
All right, so what we do is, why don't we take a look at it, we'll table this to the next meeting before we approve it. So everybody take a look, let's just check in that the dates work with what we usually do.
Yeah.
Obviously, sometimes there might be a date in here that is being thrown off by like a vacation week, school vacation. And that does usually happen in February and April generally. And then, obviously, we've got town meeting accounted for here because we only have one meeting in May. So, yeah, we'll take a look at it and then just make sure, because we don't want to bump up against anybody else's usual schedule either. Yeah.
But will January's dates work?
Oh, that's right, 'cause we do need those, so people can submit. So, right now, we have the 7th, which is the first Monday, and the 28th, which is the last Monday. So there's a 2-week gap in between.
So, it's 3.
Well, on 2 full weeks, and then the next week we meet, so I wasn't thinking it that
So
way.
what is on January 21st? Is it a function or something? Is there a holiday or something?
There's a holiday.
7 and 21 is 28.
We have it on the 7th and the 28th right now.
Yeah, that's 3 weeks between.
But I just meant there's 2 weeks where we don't meet. The third week we have meeting. I just meant it like 2 full weeks off in between. Normally, our schedule would have had us on the 21st,
Right.
but there's a holiday. So that's why I think it's pushed. Does anybody have any issue with 7th and 28th?
Right now, no.
All right, so then take a motion to approve the January meeting dates for now, just so that we can do that. A motion made second? Second. Motion made second. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, and that includes any corresponding filing dates that go along with those dates. We'll do that together. So then we'll take a look at the rest of the dates and deal with them when we come back at the next meeting. We'll also have Mr. Ryder here at that time, so in case he has any issues. The rest of it. All right, moving on to agenda item B3, concept plan 1037 North Street, 1547 Andover Street, 1553 Andover Street, and 1563 Andover Street. Yeah, I mean, we try to keep them turned so that we see them, but also the audience can. There we go.
But I'd also just like to pass this out.
Thank you.
Is that the first one?
This is last time, yep, yep. Before your time, perhaps, yeah. So-
State your name for the record, the floor will be yours.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. For the record, my name is Andy Street. I'm with Civil Design Consultants. Here on behalf of our client ACC Realty, LLC, As you mentioned, the project's located, is actually a combination of 4 parcels at the intersection of Andover Street and North Street. In total, it's about 1.6 acres. Now, we were here a month ago, I think, at this point, with the concept that I just passed out in the 11 by 17. We met with this board in a conceptual form, and then we also had a conceptual IDR with the town and the departments there. Got some feedback from them, from both you and them, and worked to revise the concept, hopefully in a way that is a more agreeable use to the town. So prior to the original submission, I should say, had 25 townhouse-style units. The site would be accessed in 2 locations from North Street, one access to serve 25 units of townhouses, and then the second for 2,100 square feet of commercial space. The feedback from that concept was, in general terms, it was too dense. There was too many units for this particular parcel. The traffic at Andover North is a problem today, and may be exacerbated by the curb cuts on North Street. The commercial space didn't seem to fit. There was also questions about, so tied in with that was access. Is it better to access from Andover Street? There's a turn lane along the front of the parcel. And then also just kind of the general appearance. We had this long run of 17 units along Andover Street, and there was some concerns about how that would look. So we took all that in consideration and came up with the plan that is before you tonight. This concept has been reduced from 25 units down to 20, spread out over 6 different buildings consisting of either 3 or 4 townhouse units that are 17 feet by 30 feet in size. Each unit would have the tandem parking spaces as before, and there's some reserve parking there. We show 5 currently, and I think there's some room to expand on that if that's deemed necessary. The access would now come from Andover Street over in the eastern corner of the parcel. That turn lane that we discussed, I can't remember if it was here at the IDR, but there is a turn lane, a left-hand turn lane for North Street that actually extends all the way down to Salem 5. So that passes along the entire front of this parcel. So the idea would be to use that turn lane for entering this site as you head west without disrupting the flow of traffic. We have provisions for stormwater, some snow storage, all of which would certainly be flushed out as we continue with the design. No curb cuts. We'd be actually closing curb cuts on North Street, hopefully eliminating some traffic that way directly from this site onto North Street. Just the one curb cut now as opposed to the 2. Certainly some sidewalk improvements and connections to this site with Andover Street and North if that's how this discussion proceeds. No commercial. We got rid of the commercial space. That's not a requirement for this particular overlay district to do multifamily development such as this. So the client decided that it wasn't necessary for this project to be successful on his end. So there's no more commercial, further reducing overall density on this parcel. We don't show landscaping, but of course a full landscaping plan would be done and included as part of a formal submission here. The idea being adding to the character, and then we went ahead and did some renderings too. I know that's always a discussion point, is how this will actually appear, especially in such a high-profile, well-traveled street such as this. So we had an architect put together the renderings that were included as part of your package and are shown on the board here. The idea was to stagger the units a little bit, add some space between them, create a little more separation, some diversity in the face, and at the same time have them along the street with the parking and the infrastructure and the driveway network behind. I believe the only relief we would be seeking, this particular concept shows 10 feet between the buildings. In this overlay, 20 feet is required. So that's something I'd certainly love to discuss further tonight. But other than that, the goal of this was to take your words and that of the IDR and try and come up with something that worked both for my client and better for the town too, by reducing density and overall units, less disturbance to the whole site, and improve on the overall aesthetics of what could be out there. So with that, I would gladly turn it back to the board for feedback on this layout.
Yeah,
thing, I guess, is, have you run this by the fire department?
We have not, that would, the IDR will be next week, which we would anticipate some feedback from them. We do know that a truck can pull in and back up and get back out the way it came in. We have made that movement, but we have not received feedback from them yet, no.
Okay, then out on Andover Street, I see the arrows that are going along. Obviously, that's a decel lane, that you can make a left into the project?
Yeah, that's a lane, it's to try and, I assume it's because of traffic issues out there, it's to get people over to the left who want to go down North Street. But that starts much further down towards 495 as well. That's today. I made it bold so it was easy to see, but that exists today. That's not a new feature that we're proposing.
Okay, and the other thing is, I noticed out in front, you still have a for sale sign? Or
Okay.
a leasing sign for this?
Do they? Yeah?
And
Okay.
they will build to, if needed. So is this going, or is he gonna sell the property? Do you have an idea why the signs are still there?
I do not know. I believe my client has this under agreement. I don't think he's formally purchased it. He's doing his due diligence phase, but I believe it's an exclusive agreement. I'm not entirely sure of that. I'm selling my own home and the for sale sign's still there. I'm supposed to close in a week, so sometimes they don't just take the sign. I'm not really sure.
And the thing is, the five guest parking spaces, have you provided one for a handicap, or?
We don't show one here. Certainly, that'd be something we could include. Yeah, there's some room there, but, we have a long, straight section of driveway there. We could certainly expand that, more parking, handicap parking, things like that. We could do that.
That's the only thing, you got 20 units and you only got 5 spaces.
Sure, yep,
I would have to think that there's more than 5 people that are gonna visit.
yep.
Other than that, I'm all set, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Fowler?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Well, I appreciate your changes, somewhat based on the lines of our comments. Personally, I just couldn't see how it would work with the traffic flow out on Andover Street and North Street, knowing that corner very well. But this, the way you've designed it now, it will work fine. And breaking up the units is a lot better than this. I'm going to ask, have you seen the first plan? Okay. I only say that because they're probably the closest abutter to the parcel. I want to make sure that they know what we're talking about. I concur with Mr. Delaney, even though this park and the visiting spaces are the same, if there's room, you can put it in. Plus, that way you can put a couple of handicaps and still have the five regular visitors, guest spaces. Other than that, I'm fine with it.
Thank you.
Mr. Vitale?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I won't go with the idea of the parking, but I don't see enough guest parking. I'm just in this area of something having a guest over the house.
Sure.
The owners having a car themselves in the garage and one in the driveway, and 3 couples coming from work or meeting or something. I just don't see enough guest parking. Your first proposal was 25 and 5 guests. I thought that was a bit much. But you haven't changed any guest parking. I think you have to look at that as a possible expansion somewhere down the road.
Sure.
Or somewhere in the project, So I think you'd like to see a look at that, maybe just to allow people that live there to have guests and not have them parking at level 5.
Sure.
Or somewhere else in the project that probably they shouldn't be, so we're blocking somebody else, but just a observation, having looked at the site a number of times, I knew something was gonna go there. It's a very important, landmark in town, being on the corner of North Street and Andover Street, so I'm hoping the design, I know that's the only concept design, but I hope you'll, expand on the detail of the place if you possibly can, because it's a very well-traveled location, a lot of traffic in and out of that corner. So the design, both in the front and in the back, very important. I think, and attention to detail is going to be the big thing here, what I'm looking at, so. I also kind of think you have too many units there, to tell you the truth. I think, the number of units in a 1.6 acre lot, think you're just pushing the envelope myself. I mean, I'm only one person on the board. I know we've had projects in town, and one on Main Street, we had 2 acres of land, and the developer put in 12 units. You know, and that's, I mean, I know 12 is, I mean, a number here for you guys, but, you know, I think with the spaces between the 2 buildings, that's supposed to be 20, and you're only allowing 10, you know? And I know developers wanna, builders and owners wanna put as much as they possibly can to get their bang for the buck, but sometimes too much is not good either, you know, so. And the traffic coming in and out that spot, I mean, have you looked at traffic at all for that area?
We haven't studied, I mean, I know it's a busy area just by the eyeball test, but we haven't, certainly a study would be part of a formal submission, but it has not been done yet, no.
And, what else do they have here? Something else about, handicap parking, we covered that, so, you know, I don't know, I think you should just look at that maybe and look into at the numbers and, see if a little shrinkage of the place may be in better, best interest. No, one question they had was the height of the buildings. I see nothing on the plans here for the height.
Yeah, we would comply with the regulations. 35 feet, I believe, is the height, yeah. Correct, yeah, yep.
Other than that, I mean, what I see in these designs will look nice. Hopefully you'll, you know, keep that in the plans as far as detail. I'm sure we'll see a landscape plan coming down the road, but, other than that, I'm all set, thank you.
Great, thank you.
All right, so, I mean, I'm not going to belabor the point on the parking. I'll only say this, in looking at this version, because everybody's already brought it up, just while I was sitting here, over here might
Sure.
be a place where
Yep.
you put in some more, because it looks like it would fit. It's on the side in front of the other set of buildings. It seems like you have room for it, so, because I don't think the 5 is going to probably be enough either, and especially if you drop in, you know, a handicap spot or 2, you know, you're already reducing open spots that way, or limiting one spot to a specific purpose. The other question, or another question, is the placement of the dumpster. It's not that I care so much about where you have it on here, I care more about the fact that I'm not sure how, or whether or not the truck can get in there to empty it.
Right, no, that's a fair point.
So
That's a
I'm
fair
wondering
point.
if maybe better over on that point
Yep.
section, maybe, you know, kind of puts it in the middle, it still keeps it out of the sight lines of most people. I mean, if you were gonna put it here, I don't see why over there would make very much difference, or in that area, only because that's the space you have the most room for the truck
Sure.
to make that back in. I don't know, I mean, you can look for other places, that's fine.
Yeah.
I just don't know that it fits here,
And we-
unless it were further back or something. I don't
Right,
know.
yeah, I
But
mean,
just
we-
don't think a truck can.
I would agree, I agree with that. We typically, as part of the final package, we'll do that movement too and confirm that we have something that works.
Then another question or comment, and I don't know, the rest of the board may have some thoughts on this next time, but I see where the sidewalk is proposed to stop.
Yeah.
Is there a particular reason it doesn't go down Mill Street?
I don't believe there's a sidewalk there now.
I know there's not a lot of sidewalks in a
Right.
lot of places, but I think our goal has been to try and have sidewalks.
Sure.
Especially on a road like that, maybe in that we don't want people walking where, you know, it is a high-traffic area, if we can help it. So, you know, take a look at that.
Yep. The-
You know, and
The other,
might also give you another place where you have this drop-in lane of sidewalk that comes in the front section for people to kind of cut in.
right, yeah.
Maybe one that goes from the lower section on North Street to do the same thing. Just take a look at it.
The other thing, if I might, the other thing that came up as part of the IDR is that intersection the town is looking at, either through engineering or whatever, and when we showed the original concept with those sidewalks, you know, we wanted to be some balance between, you know, we didn't want to have this project build a bunch of sidewalks in the town, come later and rip them up and do
That's
something.
fine. I mean,
So there might be a back and
coordinate it.
forth and, yeah, and work with them.
Talk about it during your
Right,
idea that
right.
was brought up here.
Right.
That we were suggesting, it, or
Right.
at least I did, I don't want to say everybody else, but I was suggesting about whether or not it makes sense
Sure.
to have a sidewalk.
Yep.
plan. If they say, yes, but not now,
Right,
then you can convey that back to us with the
Right.
IDR information and say, we could put it in and then say, you know, in coordination with the town and its, you know, intentions in that area.
Right.
So it may
Yep.
be something that you don't do at the beginning, but, you know, you'll be
Sure.
part of taking care of later in the process. But
Yep, okay.
as I said, I just think it might make sense to have that on that side as a, you know, I mean, what was at this site before is not necessarily something that would be as high
right,
traffic.
it's true.
This changes that, so. Obviously, the renderings are good, maybe take a look at, I know there's a lot of examples that you can get from some of the other projects we've approved. We like the top sections to be as sort of decorative as possible, so they fit
Yeah.
with, the area and, so you don't get sort of that,
Right.
stale look of just same. Even some of the projects up there in commercial that we have, that you can see how we've asked them to put things in, and just kind of give it,
Those steeple and those types of things, yeah, no, we've done that, yeah,
it just gives it a nice look, and they don't hurt your height,
right,
because they're decorative.
Okay.
So,
yep.
in terms of the reduction, this is something to work with, as opposed to what was presented before, which was just too much.
Sure.
Too many, too much. So I appreciate the reduced submission. And then obviously, like everybody else said, the landscaping will be really important, because again, with what you have there, I like that it's pushed back off the street a little bit, that's better. But it's gonna be really important, because we're gonna want you to break that up as much. I mean, separating the buildings is good, but what goes out there is gonna be important for, for what people see as they're going up and down 133. We just don't want it to be, just a stark building, just all the way down. But other than that, we'll get to that when we get to it, but I just want to make sure we keep saying that the landscaping will be important.
Yep.
So,
Okay.
other than that, I don't have anything else. Anybody else, anything else to add?
One question, please. How many affordable units are we putting in to this?
So it's 15%, right? So it's 20 units, that would be 3, I guess, right? That's, yeah,
Does that come out right? 15%?
yeah. And the applicant intends on building affordable units, yeah, yep.
Thank you. That's all, I'm all set, Mr. Chairman.
All right.
So I guess one question I have is, why take out the commercial? Just curious.
I think it wasn't a critical piece of the project for my client anyway, but in the first iteration, it was trying to find a plan and a use that kind of worked best. I mean, there's a lot of, you could see, I could see a commercial. I mean, there's a lot of people, there's Raytheon, got a lot going on there, where the right commercial use could be beneficial. But when we started to get feedback from both this board and the IDR about, why is it there, and it doesn't seem to fit right, and it wasn't in my client's best interest. He wants to build the units, is what his focus is, and if the commercial was necessary to make that happen, he certainly would have done it, but it seemed like the better project was something like this without the commercial anyway, just kind of all around for everybody, so.
Good, thank you.
All right.
Great.
So, if you have nothing else, then we're all set.
I am good. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Just for anybody who has, if they have any questions, that item comes under our administrative actions. It's not a public hearing. That's why there's no questions for the public or any comments, because we don't even have an official application yet. It's just a discussion for, just a kind of a heads up from the developer and some feedback from us, so just in case anybody's wondering. Moving on to agenda item C, 2250 Main Street, Baton Brothers Sign Inc., sign special permit. Have a motion to waive the public meeting? A second? Second. Motion made second. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, motion carries.
Stevens, actually 2550.
What did I say? Oh, I read it out again. Apologies, sir. Just a correction, it's 2550, not 2250. Clarification. A little scrivener's error on my agenda.
I went to 2250.
I went to 2250. Then found out it was the other one. Hi, how are you? Okay. How you doing? Good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name's Richard Batten. I'm from Batten Brothers Sign Company, and I'm working with Heritage Plumbing and Heating. This is Bob Messier from Daktronics Corporation, who manufactures the electronic part of the the sign we're proposing. So what we're requesting is a 7-foot, 4-inch by 8-foot double-faced internally illuminated sign with the top part is static and is a internally illuminated logo, and the bottom section is 4-foot, 6-inch electronic message center. And it is replacing the existing sign for Heritage. It is approximately the same height as the existing sign, and the bottom part of the sign is a pole cover, which is just essentially shrouding the structure of the sign itself. The sign would be located in the same spot as the existing one, and it's addressing Route 38. The client is requesting the message center because they would like to be able to address the traffic count there and put specials up. They run spring specials, they run fall specials, they do everything from plumbing and heating, air conditioning, cooling, that sort of thing. They also would like to be able to advertise for help, actually, which they frequently do, and they would be also willing to put up public service messages on the message center portion of the sign itself. What we're requesting is a full-color unit, which you can see it would have the capability to do all different types of graphics and not just text, but would be actually able to show images as well.
Mr. Fattalia.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So the sign you just gave us, or just handed up, is the same exact sign in the plans, correct?
Yes, it is. Both of them are, I didn't want to, we submitted the sign in the plans, and it just showed the text, and I wanted to show that it could also show the graphics, so I wanted to.
Different colors on the plan versus this one, so this is the one you're actually going to be submitting?
That's correct. Yep, yep.
So you mentioned the pole, where it is now, where it's going back.
Correct, yep.
So I asked you the other question was why do we need a message board sign? So like you mentioned that you're doing a number of specials and. So
That's
will we
correct.
be able to do public service announcements if we need them?
Absolutely,
Okay.
yep. Bob, is it possible to even tie this?
It's possible to tie it into your public safety, even the police dispatch. having
More than
access.
likely, if we get to the point where it gets approved, we'll give you exactly what we've given the other signs
Um.
as part of the permit, and then that's all the same. It's basically locked in, not locked in, but it's, you know, you'll be connected up with, so those information
Part of
things
it.
can come out.
I'm not a big fan of message boards around town because I don't want Route 38 to become Route 1 in Saugus. I know the big thing now is message boards, but can you answer me a question? You're being in the sign business, correct?
Sure.
What is the percentage of new message board signs going up versus a standard sign?
And do you mean manual change? Copyboard?
Just a standard sign with no moving parts versus,
Um,
because we've been getting message board requests
Yeah.
coming into town, so.
I mean, I would say that it's, for us, we probably do 3 or 4 a year, or 5.
Message boards?
Yeah, yeah. So it's tough to say. I mean, we do everything from little nameplates to like signs on the tops of buildings. I'm really
Not many message boards, correct?
not compared to everything else.
In your opinion, I mean,
Well, if you look at the technology, as, you know, the old days, you had to go out with your box of letters and your ladder or your stick with your suction cup, and that's what they call a manual changeable sign. Those, probably 95% of those are being replaced versus people buying a manual changeable because they don't want to go out there and change it, they don't change it. So it's a new technology that's, you know, evolving, and, you know, it's how you set the regulations, so it's not flashing, it's not animating, it's not scrolling. It prevents a person from going out there with a box of letters and a stick or a ladder in the ice and snow and changing their message on the sign. Now they can do it from a computer. I mean, that's the way we look at it.
I mean, you know, thinking about it, like, we do a fair amount of work for gas stations, and all those signs now are electronic.
Price
There's no
changing.
longer the plastic sign, you know, that sort of thing, and it's for that
Seems to
reason.
be the way of the future. I mean,
It
I'm not
is-
sure what
it
the cost
is-
factor versus one versus the other, but, I mean, some of them are nice, but, you know, too many is not good too. So. The other thing I see in the sign is we kind of like to have the address of like 2550 be on the sign somewhere, if that's possible. I mean, I don't know.
Could certainly, we could incorporate that right onto the pole cover.
Okay,
That wouldn't be any problem at all.
great,
Right.
thank you very much.
Mr. Delaney?
Yeah, that was the one thing I was gonna bring up, the address on the pole covering. Another thing that I really like about the fact that, like, the town could use it in case of an emergency, say for like an Amber Alert. We seem to ask this question all the time when they go in. And as long as the town can post something, if it becomes an emergency case, but, you know, like an Amber Alert or something of that nature, it would be good for everybody concerned, I think.
I mean, we,
I like the sign, I like the looks of it. So,
thank you.
You're all set with me, Mr. Chairman?
Mr. Fowler?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. One of the factors is, two other gentlemen brought up was the street number that's in the bylaw. There has to be a street number on the sign. Doesn't have to be colored or, you know, part of your message board, because that's going to stay the same. But that's supposed to be there. A few years ago, when we first developed, but when a plan was brought before us about colors, we did a little research, a lot of research, and found out that the best appealing colors, background and letters, was black and gold. Or, you know, not yellow. Yellow to me jumps right out at you, but black and gold. If you look and you see them, it's pretty soft. It's pretty good, pretty appealing. Two things we don't want are red letters or green letters. Now, you don't really qualify here, but the police chief was rather not see red letters on a sign near an intersection. So someone could get confused with a street light. That's not the case here, but we would rather not see all red letters anyways on the board. There's one in town, it's all red, and it just jumps right out. There's actually two in town. And it jumps right out at you. I know that's what you want, but it's just not very appealing. Other than that, I believe I'm all set. Thank you.
Okay, so just want to make sure that we're all definitely on the same page. So this is a fully colored sign though, right? This is like the other ones we have in town more recently. This is not just strictly a black background with the amber colored.
Correct, this is
It's full
color.
color, yeah.
Because I know, like, that's sort of what it looked like from the initial
That's
submission.
why I,
But now we have the second one.
Right.
It's basically showing that this is like the message boards, the more recent kind. So we've
Yes.
got all colors are possible.
correct,
Okay,
yeah.
so, you know, with that, obviously, then the red and the green does come back in, that you want to keep it from being, if you're going to be running a sign that looks like the one on the original submission, don't put it in red, green, you know, you stick to those
Right.
colors. But if you're running something that looks more like this one, I mean, there's a lot more going on there anyway, so it's not really the same.
Except for the American flag.
Right, exactly. It seems to be the one they pick all the time to put them in there. The only, not the only, but one of the things, in looking at the pole cover, the only thing, does it need to be quite so thick to cover what looks like a pretty thin pole? It's just, it's a really stark blue. And it looks like it's your company colors, but, which is why I assume it's that color. But, I don't know, I'm kind of thinking of the area, and it's a bit much at the width that it is, I think. I mean, I'm okay if we want to cover a kind of like an ugly pole with something that looks a little bit better. I'm just wondering, does it need to be quite this wide?
It doesn't have to be. We could, I designed it, but I just made it a little thicker just so that it wouldn't look too, storkish,
Pencil.
But I could, it's 30 inches, I could bring it down to 24 inches.
I mean, it might just be me. I'm just trying to think of what it's going to look out in the field. And
I think,
it's a lot of blue,
Yeah.
and there's a lot of it because of its height.
I think actually even the printer in this case, our digital printer, the blue on the pole cover, I think is a little lighter or a little brighter than the actual blue of the Heritage logo. The blue that they use is more of a navy, so I think it actually is represented a little brighter. I think the blue they use is darker, which is printed correctly on the top section of the Heritage, and that's what we would be. So it may not be quite as vibrant as, what's shown.
Yeah, I mean, I'm probably the easiest get generally on the message signs. So, overall, I don't have an issue with them. I was remiss in one comment that I didn't make at the beginning, and I should have. With Mr. Ryder absent this evening, and I don't know if we'd get this far tonight, but just so you're aware, if you were to proceed, if this got to the point of a vote, you'd have to get all 4 members present to vote for it.
Oh, I
So
see.
it would be completely up to you to allow this to continue to the next meeting, if we get to the point of vote. I'm not even sure we will. I'm just saying, if it got to that point, I'd ask you again if you wanted to wait till the full board is present.
I see.
One other question, are we going to have a full board at the next meeting?
No, how are we going?
You'll be missing. All right, so you're going to have, in the next couple of meetings, you're going to have some decisions to make. Wherever we get tonight, I don't know, but, you may find yourself, depending on how far you're willing to wait, whether or not you'll find yourself with the full board present, in which case you'd need 4 out of 5. All right, so you guys can, see how the wind seems to be blowing and make a decision, but I'll get back to you guys on that. Just wanted to make sure I mentioned it.
Thank you.
With that, this is a public hearing, so I'll open it up to the audience. Anyway,
Excuse me, Mr. Chairman, can I ask one more question? Because Ann made note of it, the hours of operation of the sign.
Whatever.
Well, the thing is, I think the bylaw says it's got to shut off at 12 at night.
Yeah.
You can turn it back on at 6 in the morning, if I'm correct. You have a problem with the hours of operation.
Absolutely not. That's totally fine.
all right.
All set, Mr.
Okay,
Chairman.
so with that, I'll open up the audience. Anyone in the audience with any questions, comments, or concerns? Only once? Twice? All right, bring it back to the board. Before I ask the gentleman at the table, does anyone on the board have any further comments or questions on this?
No, I'm all set, Mr. Chairman.
All set.
All right, gentlemen, I will leave it to you. We don't have any further questions at
owner's
this
not
time.
here.
There was no other public comment, so you've heard what you've heard from the members on the board. It is up to you what you want us to do next.
If this design wasn't designed, could we reapply?
If we deny this, or if it doesn't get approved, what's the, what do they have to wait to submit? Yeah, I don't know off the top of my head, I'm not sure, but,
You have to start over again.
right, start the whole process over again.
Okay.
So publication and all that. Just, again, for an FYI, I believe everyone would be present for the We have two meetings, right? We have the 3rd and the 17th. Bob is going to be missing on the 17th, and Jay's missing the one before. All right, so we're running a little short for a few meetings in a row, but again,
Which is not
I-
normal.
no, it's not a normal thing. I mean, I would suspect that the soonest board meeting where you'd have 5 members present would be January. The only other, I think, and if no member misses more than one hearing in which it's discussed, then that member can vote. So if you weren't here for the in-between meetings, that's fine. It wouldn't really affect anything. You just can't miss more than 2, or more than 1. You miss 2.
I would request a vote this evening.
All right. Very good. So, before I close it off, just want to clarify, you were fine with maybe shrinking the width a little bit?
Yes.
Right?
Yep.
All right. So with that, what's the pleasure of the board?
I will comment on that. I would not, if you look at the existing pole,
Yep.
that to me is atrocious.
Yes.
And that's why they get away from those. I mean, what is it, 30 inches now? I wouldn't go any less than 24, so I don't know what you,
That's what
Yeah.
okay.
okay.
All right. So what's the pleasure of the board?
Motion to close the hearing.
I have a motion to close the hearing. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion made and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries.
No waivers?
I believe we had, yeah, we have waivers. So, what was, the first one was in, you guys listed 5232D. We have to waive. What else do we have to waive? The whole list, right?
Yeah.
So we just take the one section, D. Okay. Do you have the book? You have it?
That's from his Bible. He reads it at night.
Right under the pillow, right?
More waivers, a couple waivers?
Okay. All right, so we only need some of these, like.
I didn't see any waivers. Steve, did you see waivers on there?
He listed, it's listing the section, but there's specifics within the section. I just want to do the right ones, not all of them.
Okay.
So we need one. Yes, for that. That's just a finding. Not to waive it. Just to clarify, what are the dimensions of the message board itself? Just the message board?
4 foot 8 inches by 8 foot 1 inch.
Okay, so we need 4. We have to leave 6, because that's this one. So we have 87. Yeah, we have, so we're not gonna waive 8, we have to set it. All right, so as I have it, we have section 5232D. The waived items would be 1, 4, 6, and 7. And we need to set the message board display times, which is number 8. I don't think we really discussed that before, but we just need to, how long we want a message to stay up. I know we originally thought that needed to be longer than it really needs to be, but we don't want it to be basically scrolling through things, you know, over fast. I don't know what we've been using as a time.
It's varied, anywhere from, I think it was 10 seconds to 30 seconds was the average.
So I'm gonna go with 30 for this one, because, okay, so, if that's all right with everybody else, 30? Okay. All right, so, okay. All right, so on the waivers, do I have a motion on the waivers for section, for 5232, D 1, 4, 6, and 7?
So moved.
I have a motion made, do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, motion carries. All right, and then to the permit request itself, do I have a motion?
Take a motion to approve the sign
Is with the waivers.
with the waivers,
As submitted.
and to make sure the address,
The address.
Right,
the
so-
address is on.
All right, so let's just run through them real quick. So we got the address will be added. We asked that you reduce the width to the 24 instead of the 30 that was submitted. What was the other?
Hours of operation.
Oh, the hours of operation, you'll follow the hours of operation. The sign will go off appropriate time. The displays will be 30 seconds in between, so they're not scrolling too fast. Is that it? Yeah, no red or green text if you're running text across it. That you will cooperate with the town in using it for emergency and/or other, necessary messages if contacted by the town. And I think that's it, right? And that the board obviously finds as required in the section that the message board meets what is required for approval. Other than that, does that work?
It works for me.
All right, so motion made. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, motion carries. All right, thank you.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you very much. What's the next step is, do you send us a decision we used to have
Yeah, just
to?
check in the notes. Yeah, you have the wait period for the appeal process and everything, so.
20 days.
Okay.
All right.
Here you go. Just send me an email with any questions. All right.
All right, moving on to agenda item D, 43 Fifth Street, Silver Phoenix Construction Family Suite Special Permit. A motion to waive the public reading.
So moved.
Do we have a second? Mr. Fowler, do we have a second? Sure. Motion made and second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, motion carries. Let you get yourself settled, but give us a second. Just wait.
Yeah.
Mr. Delaney to return. State your name for the record.
Brian Sharon, owner of Silver Phoenix Construction.
The floor is yours.
So I come before you guys today to ask for a special permit to increase the square foot, to allow me to build an ensuite that is 146 square feet larger than the 800 square feet that's allowed. And the reason it is in my original math of doing it, they are actually sharing, if you look at the plan, there's a bathroom, and they're actually sharing that with the,
Can I stop you for a second?
yeah, absolutely,
I gotta tell you, plan did you submit it to us?
yeah.
I'm not even eligible for us to read. I don't know if you had that problem with this
Well,
thing here.
yeah,
Couldn't read anyway.
all right,
What
I
size,
apologize.
all that stuff.
Yeah, I was told that,
Food cut.
I thought 11 by 17 was fine, I didn't realize I had to give you guys larger set. I was told 11 by 17 was fine. I apologize.
Couldn't read that in here.
I'm sorry,
Not eligible at all.
I apologize.
Sorry.
So the bathroom in there was originally I thought was going, because it's shared with the actual, the kids who own the home. The parents are going to move into the in-law, so they're going to share that bathroom, so I never included that in square footage. But that is actually, when the building department told me that's included the square footage, we go over by that amount. So we were asking for a waiver to allow them to be able to build.
Was that it?
Yeah, that's kind of
All right. Mr. Fowler?
I just wanted to explain something to the gentleman that you're covered as far as over 800 square feet by having this here.
Yep.
If it's less than 800 square, 800 or less, building inspector can do it. If it's more than 800, less than 1,000, it has to have a special hearing, advertised special hearing. So that's why I get to this.
Yeah.
So that's not a problem.
Okay.
Just to add some more information to what Mr. Fratalia said, even the sheets beyond that cover sheet, you know, the code and all that information, you can't read what it says.
Yeah.
So I don't think anybody here wants to guess. I know a little bit about the construction, and there are a couple of things here that don't make sense because I can't read them.
Have you seen this?
Yeah, but 11 by 17 is difficult to read. But I wasn't told to supply, I asked if I needed to do engineering, and they said, no, 11 by 17 was fine. So that's why I submitted them. If I knew it was going to have this kind of issue, 24 by 36 wouldn't have been the biggest deal for me to submit.
Do you know if this existing house has the Board of Appeals variance on it already?
No, I do not.
Well, the house is 3 feet away from the lot line.
I did notice that as well, yes.
So there's something going there.
Yeah, that obviously I was not part of that project or having to do, so I did not look at.
I mean, I think that might be the garage.
It is, the garage.
Okay. So maybe when they added the garage,
Again,
I
I don't know.
Appeals, they knew they were gonna be in, that's the only way they did it. I'm not saying they did it, but we can't add to a non-conforming use unless you have an appeal reported for this lot.
So you're saying that because I've got to make sure that the garage, they went through the appeal process for the garage first? And then I got to make sure it was like a documented appeal for the garage before we can even do anything else?
Someone there who owns the property.
Well, they obviously weren't the people who did it. It's been done, that, they bought the house as it sits right now with the garage like that and everything as it is.
So you just go to the registry of deeds under that title, under that, and find out if there's a Board of Appeals.
I didn't realize. So what do you find out if the garage was put in front of the Board of
In other
Appeals?
words, it's supposed to be, at that time, it was supposed to be 10 feet off the lot line.
Yep.
It's 3 feet.
Yeah, so I got to see if it's been through Board of Appeals.
3 feet to 3 inches.
I didn't realize that was a requirement. I apologize.
That's all I have.
Mr. Fratalia.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think you're gonna find that the majority of people on the board here are all in favor of family suites,
Yep,
and we've had no problem with
Yep.
it in the past.
yep,
The problem I have is the fact that you're going over the square footage that's allowed.
yep.
Okay, so the other thing, like Mr. Fowler mentioned, was the 3 feet from the lot line,
Mm-hmm.
which is something we just can't overlook. So
Yeah.
we have to get that squared away from us. And then, not being able to read the plans,
Yeah, I didn't, yeah, no, absolutely, that's not,
it's unfortunate, but I asked Mr. Delaney, if I had a bad copy, and Mr. Fowler, and they both said that they could.
no, I apologize about that, I just wasn't informed that it had to be larger. Sorry.
So I think I'd like to see a better set of plans.
Yeah, that's no problem.
So we can have.
It's kind of upsetting now.
Some footings and markings and all that stuff, so,
On there, that's,
you know, the house is on sewer?
yes, it is.
All right, I'll send it to Jim, thank you.
Mr. Delaney.
Question to the chair. Isn't a family suite, can a family suite be up to 1,000 square feet?
Yes.
It can.
With a hearing. With a hearing. With a hearing.
Yes.
Oh, okay. That's all. The other question was sewer. Is it going to have one driveway?
Yes.
And the front door is one?
Yeah, there's not
Front door.
no, there's no front door.
The access to the family suite to the existing dwelling is not through the bathroom, is it?
No, it's through, if you see right next to the, obviously these plans are difficult, I have a little blown up cross-section, but if you look right here, right next to the bathroom, there's a hallway. There's like a main hallway that everybody will be able to use and access through there.
Thank you. Other than the fact that the lot is non-conforming, one driveway, sewer, and a family suite, I guess I'm all set. The only thing is, my print, believe it or not, my print, when I was looking at it, it looked like it said 3 inches. Okay, so I said, wow, but, was that garage added on after the house was built, or, but did, like Mr. Fowler had told you, the registry of deeds will tell you, I would think.
Because I do know when I went and looked at for the building department, they had a building permit for the addition, for another addition on the other side of the house, not the opposite garage to the house, and the garage was already on that set of plans. So the garage, and that was like, I think, early 80s?
Mr. Fowler's right.
No, I know, so my question is, so if that didn't happen, so that means then we have to go through the appeals? I'm just trying to, because I have to go back to my client, I gotta talk to them.
If the garage is not permitted correctly,
Yep,
then you have an issue. If it was permitted correctly, then not.
okay, so, okay,
So if there's a Board of Appeals decision that allowed that to be less than the required distance
mm-hmm,
from the lot,
yep,
you're all set.
Okay.
You probably could have found at Town Hall, but since it's closed now, you can go home, go on the Registry of Deeds.
yeah, and just,
And look up the property, and you should most likely, hopefully, find the recorded Board of Appeal decision granting the variance. That would be my guess.
yeah,
Because what you're suggesting is that work was done even after that is unlikely it wouldn't have been noted if it was not okay, but we need confirmation of that.
yeah,
I mean, the board could approve this tonight, and you're gonna get, the brakes are getting slammed on you at the building inspector's office anyways, but we're not gonna do that if we don't
Yeah.
that we're approving something that we should be approving anyways.
no, absolutely. I just want to make sure I'm clear, so when I talk to the client, I am,
So, I mean, and they may tell you, oh, no, that's all set, we took care of it.
Yeah.
And that might be the answer.
yeah, but I've got to make sure and prove it. Do you know that I just got to bring in like bring in a recorded page and show you guys?
Yeah, we don't need like a certified copy or anything. If
Yeah.
you print it out offline.
Okay.
That's fine. And again, it should also be in the clerk's office here,
Okay,
but you might want to confirm it when you go home.
yeah,
You can come get it at the clerk's office.
absolutely,
I mean, that's fine.
absolutely,
It should be in the file if it
Okay.
exists, so.
absolutely.
Not to beat the dead horse, but I mean, we take handwritten stuff for this a lot of the time, and it's kind of easy to figure out what we're looking at
Yeah,
than what looks like real plans.
Yeah.
They're hard to understand.
yeah, no, I apologize about the small plans. That wasn't, I like,
It's not a
that's,
size issue. What I'm saying is, it's just, what we have is just hard to, like.
yeah, no, I think it's because they're scaled down instead of, because it's supposed to be printed 24 by 36. I think what happened is everything's just very condensed. I would have given you larger, then that's not the hardest thing for me to do. I apologize. That's my
All
fault.
right, so otherwise I'm all set for right now. And the only other comment, Mr. Vitale sort of, he alluded to it, like, generally, we always want to approve the family suites. So it's not, we're not, trying to drag this out.
No, absolutely. You're just looking for the proper documentation. Absolutely. So
just, I'm sorry, do you have something else?
I was just going to make sure it's just those two things, the larger plans and the Board of Appeal
For right now.
right now.
I'm going to open it up to the public. Anyone in the public with any questions, comments, or concerns on this? Seeing none?
Yeah, the next door neighbors, and we're very happy to have, the garage was part of the original house, opposite side. And the property, the line between the two properties is on a diagonal. It's not.
All right, so we'll note that as informational. And not public
It was
comment.
just-
So if that is the case, and that was the main house, and there's no Board of Appeals that was ever done, because that was the original permit, what do we do?
Well, one way or the other,
Yeah, so,
you're going to have to come up with one way to tell us that this is all set. I
Okay.
don't believe that that's probably the case.
yeah, but even if, okay, so if it's not, am I going to have to go through the Board of Appeals to get that approved?
if there's no Board of Appeals
Yeah.
decision.
Yeah.
Or something else that's proving that that was okay,
Yep,
yes, because we can't
can't
make it
rule.
worse.
Yeah, you
by
can't,
adding
exactly.
on to the house now.
Okay. Something that's non-conforming already, but if they got a permit,
If it was non-conforming
yeah,
by approval.
that's fine.
That's fine.
But you can't approve something to make it less conforming. Awesome, appreciate it,
So
guys.
with that, I'll bring it back to
One more question for you, Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
To you,
Absolutely.
the work being done out front, that's being done now, the front of the house, is some type of work being done there, no?
No, we have a dumpster there. That's it.
But aren't you having some work done in the front of the house? The siding and all that stuff?
Oh, yeah, the siding, we have the siding, we stripped some of the siding off to see what's underneath it. And there's other older siding, so,
Finish it off. Is that part of this?
yeah, it's gonna be part of the project eventually, yeah, but for right now, it's not. So we were just checking to see what was underneath.
That's great, all set.
Mr. Delaney?
I'm all set.
Mr. Fowler? All right.
No, we didn't, we just looking inside again.
All right, with that, what is the pleasure of the board?
Motion to continue the hearing until the...
So the next meeting is the 3rd at 7:10. All right. Everyone's all set? All right,
Good
so
day for you, December 3rd?
that's the next meeting, so.
Yeah, it should be fine, I'll make it work either way.
All right, well, okay. So we have a motion made to continue this to 7:10 on 12/3/2018. Do I have a second? Motion made and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries.
Thank you, good luck.
All right, thank you, I appreciate your time, guys, have a good night.
Moving on to agenda item E, 999 Whipple Road. Town of Tewksbury Site Plan Special Permit continued.
It's finally here.
All right, please state your names for the record, or yours. Or you can take the handheld up there.
Good evening. I was just going to talk with the boards. My name is Ted Galante from the Galante Architecture Studio out of Cambridge, and we're here to talk about the Whipple Road project.
Danielle Spicer from Green International Affiliates, the civil site engineer.
If you want to go up by your displays, just grab the hand mic.
Okay.
Give it a tap, make sure it's on. That works.
Okay, thank you. So I'm just going to do a quick introduction to the project. Whipple Road is at the top of the drawing here. The DPW is on the side of the drawing here. And we're proposing to put a building in the center here. This is the Regional Emergency Call Center. We've been working with the police department, the fire department, the town administrator, et cetera. It's roughly a 6,500 square foot building, single-story building with offices inside. And I'll go through the floor plan real quick. Danielle will take you through the site plan, but the idea is to have an entrance drive off of Whipple Road with parking along one side, and then parking behind the building along the rear, and connecting drives to the DPW at the front of the building and at the rear of the building. So the new building sits in the center, drive in behind it or adjacent to it, and then head in either direction. Danielle will talk about all the site development because she's much better at it than I am. And so just, it's probably a lot hard to understand or see from here, but the entrance to the building is facing Whipple Road. So this is, again, still Whipple Road. This is the floor plan. The entrance to the building is at the top of the plan. There's a vestibule It's a secure facility, so not a lot of traffic will be there. But there's a small conference room right off the vestibule, so that if a vendor comes in, they'll have some place where they can meet that vendor without letting them in. A couple of office spaces off to the side with some admin area, a training conference room to the right side, and then another with a couple of restrooms, and then another secure door to the dispatch area, some restrooms and storage, locker rooms, and the IT kind of areas in the back. And then there's a break room toward the back looking out toward the rear of the building. So pretty simple plan, really one corridor with a couple of rooms on either side of it for various activities. Ceiling plan, the roof plan is pretty straightforward. It's a long, low-slung building, so this is what's facing Whipple Road. It's a simple entrance at the front with some wood siding tucked in around a little stone enclosure around the top of it, or a stone facade, and then a metal siding building here along the side. One sees, this is looking from the DPW side, the entrance on that area, and the metal siding along here. The building is roughly 18 feet tall, so just under 18 feet tall overall. Same looking from the other two sides of the building, very simple, wood, stone, and metal panels. It starts to look like that, where there's a warm wood recess at the entrance. This is a dark stone, very small slabs of stone, and then inexpensive siding along the perimeter. And there's actually a fair amount of tree coverage in that area anyway. We're trying to preserve as many trees as possible, though some will come down. This is if you were a bird flying above the building a little bit. And that's the rear of the building facing, this is the break room, so that being a dispatcher is a very high-stress job, and so having a place to sit and look out at nature is an important aspect, and so we're doing that. And there's actually a plan for a little picnic table space out here, which is right there on the plan, so that someone can take a break, go out and get a breath of fresh air in between shifts. And so that's generally where we are from a building perspective, and Danielle can talk about the site unless you'd like me to just cover it and you answer questions.
Sure, 1 minute. Hi, I can just give a brief description of the site. So the existing site is a completely wooded site. So what we are doing is proposing, a new driveway coming in with a new building. There is a fair amount of clearing that will need to happen in order to do the site development. We've tried to maintain as many existing trees as Ted mentioned along the front here. One, just as a nice natural buffer between the building and the street. We do have some areas where we've got some utilities coming in here where they need to come out. There are 2 existing rain gardens along there that it was part of, I think the town received as part of a state grant. We are maintaining those. They're just going to be shifted slightly in the size due to this driveway coming in here, but the volume will still remain exactly the same, and we're replacing those in kind. The proposed stormwater, we really tried to, we already have also gone to the Conservation Commission as part of the site development, knowing that there are wetland resources area over here to the north and to the west. We really wanted to make sure we were including a low-impact development site design and being environmentally sensitive. So we have very few structures on here. We've really tried to use the grading within the site and to allow sheet flow to allow the discharge points to use sheet flow and not actually have to curb and capture everything with catch basins. So as you kind of come down here and you get into here, we do have curbing along here, but as you get down to here, we have a 2-foot riprap, 2 feet of riprap as pre-treatment prior to going sheet flowing into these 2 bioretention areas. These bioretention areas are actually tiered because the site actually drops about 10 feet from where you are at Whipple Road to the back. So there was a significant grade change. So this is a higher bioretention area. It's taking the majority of the roof runoff. This is a lower one where the majority of this, obviously you can see it's much bigger, is taking the runoff from the parking areas down along here. They're only about 2 feet deep, and, you know, with a foot of freeboard there. We did include a whole stormwater management report. It has been reviewed by the town engineer. To kind of get to that, there was an initial review by the town engineer. We've addressed those comments, and then there was a subsequent review. I think he had 3 outstanding comments that I was just going to touch base with tonight, if that's okay, I don't know if you have that letter. Oops, sorry, I just dropped that. Yes, dated November 16th. So there were 3 items. One of them was our detail for a trench restoration conflicted with the DPW's specifications, so we're just going to remove those details and note in our specification that any trench patching needs to be done to the town's requirements, and I mentioned that to Kevin. He seemed okay with that. The second comment is with regard to the outlet control structures. Again, on our detail, we had just neglected to include some construction detail requirements. We just need to add a rim and the size of that. So we will add that information on the construction documents before they go out, as well as he wanted a trash rack, or a trash screen on we have a weir on we have 2 outlet control structures. So we'll add a trash screen onto that detail as well. And maybe that's it. There's kind of 2 comments in number 2. And then number 3 and 4 are just noted as part of the project, which is fine. So, you know, we can easily make those 2 adjustments to the 2 details on our sheets to comply with that. So I guess with that, I'd just open it up to questions.
All right, I'll do that, though.
Still in.
I wish they were building it in the front of the DPW garage instead of in the back. To start off with. The driveway that's up in front, is that going through the existing driveway of the DPW? In the front? So in other words, I'm missing distances.
There's a DPW, garage right here and a drive there, and it goes like that, and this is new connecting to the existing.
Yeah, this is the existing edge of concrete right here, kind of goes like this. So right where we're stopping here is where we're meeting up with their existing edge of pavement.
Okay. And the other question, it's the first time I think I've ever read in a plan that they're making a building that's bulletproof, truck-proof, certain type of proofs. I've never seen that before. But I guess what happens is with the wood structure, there's something behind it?
Yes. The building is made out of ICFs, insulated concrete forms.
Okay.
And so it's fundamentally a giant coffee cup with concrete poured on the inside, and it insulates itself and it becomes ballistic and...
Okay, the other question, you have security inside, you know, with the doors and so forth.
Yes.
Is there any security proposed outside, like cameras or stuff like that?
There are cameras on every corner of the building. There are cameras all around the entire building. There are no gates or fences, which is something that we do put on some facilities in certain situations, but we felt was not necessary here.
I'm all set, Mr. Chairman.
All right, Mr. Fowler?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just for the board's edification, the windows inside Dispatch Now are bulletproof, and they have been. That building's been built, was built in 95, a while ago. But those are built bulletproof, so this isn't something new. But the exterior windows at the station aren't. The windows inside around Dispatch are. So that job hasn't changed, and yes, it is stressful. It can be. My question is a construction question.
Construction what?
I'm sorry?
I didn't hear what you said.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. My question is a construction question.
Oh, yeah.
This is New England.
Yes.
I always say that first. Why the flat roof?
So, the design is often driven by budget, let's just say. And it's the most economical kind of construction that we can do to meet all the requirements of the building is one aspect. To have a low-lying building is another aspect. And we do flat roofs on buildings all the time without issue. So,
There's a lot more maintenance on it, though.
sorry?
A lot more maintenance on the roof, on the flat.
I suppose that can be discussed in a couple of different ways.
I lived in a building with a flat roof for 35 years, and I think we did the roof 5 times.
Most high schools, fire stations, those are often very, low-lying, long, flat-roof buildings. And
Right.
really, the box stores that we see everywhere are big, flat-roofed, inexpensive buildings, and what we can afford here is a very inexpensive building.
Now it gets to the real question. The mechanicals. It's a nice-looking building, and a very pretty picture you show of the building. Right there.
There's no mechanical system on the roof.
That's right.
There will be mechanical system, and
absolutely.
it's not intended to be hidden. This is the way the architecture program renders it. They are mechanical units that are on top of the building,
Yes.
and
And obviously it's more
vendors-
efficient.
Sorry?
It's more efficient.
Right.
Is, being the fact that you don't have anything but a flat roof, is there any reason why you couldn't screen that with a mansard in the front or the sides?
It would require a radical redesign of the building.
It require what?
A radical redesign of the building. Just adding a mansard on top of this design to cover mechanical units would be a significant redesign of the building.
Gee, they built a car wash in Tewksbury at the corner of Shawsheen and East Street, and it was a flat block building, brick, veneer, and that's the one thing we didn't want. That all the mechanical was on the top. There was no problem doing that.
I don't know how to compare this to that, but what I'll tell you is this is a level 4 building, and the structural component is significant, and adding additional snow load, snow drift area are all significant structural impacts to the rest of the building.
Not to debate you, but I don't see how the snow load would add up to much weight at all on a mansard roof. Mansard roof is like that.
Now, I understand that, but mansard roof is also calculated structurally as a vertical side because the snow drift builds up against it, and you're adding more snow load to the weight of to the roof. Here, we don't have that problem because we have an open roof. But if we add vertical surfaces, we're then going to have snow drifts that we're calculating against, and the size of the structural steel, I'll assure you from my engineer, will go up because my engineer likes to increase the size of steel, let's just say.
Well, again, not to debate you, but what is the elevation of the roof and the elevation to the top of the parapet around it?
There are snow drifts calculated now, without question. There are snow drifts calculated on the building now.
Yeah, but what is the distance?
I don't know the number off the top of my head. It varies. In some places it's a foot. In some places it's 30 inches.
So in a sense, that's going to do the same thing. Snow drifting will go right up against that.
There will be snow drifts against those.
Yeah.
And if we add a mansard, there'll be more snow drifts, plus the dead load of the material.
Well, I've seen mansard screening on a building with snow would go right through it.
We can check into it. I'm relatively sure it's going to add cost and structure.
I mean,
And-
obviously, if this building was on Main Street, I'd fight it even more because of that, you know. But, I mean, down on Whipple Road, I know people live on Whipple Road, but down on Whipple Road, it's next to a cement block building that's been there for 35, 40 years, and it's going to be a lot better looking than that building. I give you that. But I'd like you to just look into screening that, that's all.
Great.
Appreciate that. That's it.
Mr. Fitzgerald.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Building looked nice, very nice, in the area down there. How far is it from the other building that's sitting there now, do you know? From the DPW?
The distance from here to here, I don't know the exact number, that's 35, probably about 70, 75 feet, because that's a 35-foot.
This is 100 feet. So it's 100, it's over 100, about 150 feet.
From the other building to
Yeah.
this building, so it's going to be set back a little bit.
Yes, yes.
How many parking spaces are you allowing there?
I think we're providing 30 overall, is that
I
right?
believe so, yes.
Somewhat excessive, or?
So there's a lot of discussion about that. The police chief believes that we'll have even more parking at times when they do training, because the training room can fit 30 people, and they have also, there's staff who are on shift in the dispatch area, and so there's been some discussion with DPW and this area having some shared parking at times.
So that's why it's expanded to be that 30,
Yes.
okay.
There was a request.
Because it's only been 7 employees there, right, correct? And a
Yes, that's
supervisor,
correct.
right?
7 employees and a supervisor. There was a request at one point to have parking out front, and we thought that that wasn't a good idea. So it's how the parking lot ended up getting tucked in the back.
Yeah, it just seemed like it was a lot, so you're explaining it is great, you know, so thank you. Kind of disturbing that we have to have so many things done to that building when it's only a
Dispatch.
a dispatch center. I mean, the police station is one thing, but it's a dispatch center, and to that degree, it's, terrorists being, attacking the building and all that stuff, it's kind of crazy, but I mean, it's I guess what's required or what's done, and, nothing against how it's going to be designed, but kind of crazy, but, the other thing I wanted to ask you is, there must be battery backup and generators inside there for all that facility?
2 generators,
Okay.
and they're here on the side. So there's one generator to back up the building, and there's another generator to back up the generator if that generator fails. So it's a redundant building so that it can never be offline. That's the intent.
You mentioned about video and surveillance cameras on all edges, that's what
Yes.
cover the whole thing?
Yes.
I guess I'm all set, that was, everything else is good, thank you.
Yeah, I don't have any issue with the design. I mean, obviously, it's something that's minimal because there's no need for it to be, overly decorative for its purpose, so that's fine. It's set back generally, I mean, it's certainly going to, whatever went in next to the DPW building is, 100% better looking than the DPW building, so that's easy. But obviously, Mr. Fowles asked you to look at something, not that it's the alternative to it, but something else to maybe provide us with too might be, what does it look like looking, if those things aren't going to work out, if there isn't some way to better screen, what can you see looking at it from the front with the, the trees and whatnot are there? How shielded might it be naturally? That would be useful to see, a realistic rendering.
We can do
what
that, a
might
photo
be,
montage, photo
or
montage.
maybe in an alternative way, so when people are going up and down Whipple, which they do all day, all night, every day. all
Yeah,
the
I think the
time,
main.
what can you, what, if there's no way to fix it on the building, is there a way to fix it on the ground to help shield it from view from anyone? Is that, so, but obviously, Mr. Fowle asked you to check on what can be done on the physical building itself. So those would be 2 things, you could possibly bring back as well. Obviously, it's a public hearing, so I will note there is no one in the room, so we will have no public comment on this tonight. With that, bring it back to the board. What is the pleasure of the board?
The questions I had, I think you could do, submit to us even if we close the hearing tonight. I would give you, that.
Great.
Attaboy stuff.
Thank you. Thank you. We will do that. Thank you.
So I just wanted you to know that. That's it. As far as I'm concerned, unless are there any outstanding items?
I mean, they addressed the items and will comply with what was asked for by the
Yep.
town engineer.
Yes.
We can make that note that they'll do so.
As a condition, you can condition this letter. Yep.
If we choose to vote tonight, so that's fine. They don't seem to have any issue with those, and there's a fairly short list at this point. I think a lot of this already went on during the delay of getting it before us, so.
We never thought you were going to build it.
We thought we were just going to keep this on our agenda.
I know.
Sometimes so did we.
I'm all set to close the hearing.
All right. Anybody else with any feelings on it?
Just one question, Steve. The building itself, we have two generators, a generator and a backup generator for the generator.
Yes.
Do you have a UPS system that's going to be in the building?
So there's a whole technology component to the building, and I'm not qualified to speak to it, so I'm not certain of that. I'd have to ask my technology consultant.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I don't know that off the top of my head.
It's just that I was an electrical contractor all my life, and it's just something I ask.
It's highly likely that it is, because these buildings need uber redundancy. They're about staying online, and
Well, see, the thing
unfortunately,
is,
that's why it's,
When you have a generator, and you have a backup generator to the generator, the situation is the time period for the other one to kick in is gone a ways. You're talking like 5 to 10, maybe 15 minutes before you get full power back. The uninterrupted power service to the building keeps it alive until the generator takes over. So you don't even see the lights blink.
I'd have to double check that, but I would, based on our mechanical engineer and our technology consultants, my presumption is yes, but I would have to confirm that.
I'm all set, Mr. Chairman, thank you. How about expected time of starting the building?
So we're planning to put this out to bid in a few weeks, and once we receive bids and that they're approved and we're on budget, so the idea is that we would start as soon as the ground thaws, March, April, and 14 months is our estimated construction time. That's the estimated construction time.
Well, they got to put in those bulletproof columns, so. All right, so if that's the case, then what is the pleasure of the board?
I'll make a motion to accept,
First, close the public hearing.
close the
All
public
right, so we have
hearing.
a motion made and seconded on closing. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, motion carries. As to the site plan special permit as requested. Yeah, there were no waivers.
There's no waivers.
requested,
There's no
right? I
waivers.
didn't think so. Right. All right.
As submitted, so moved.
All right, so we have a motion to approve the site plan special permit as submitted with just the notations on that you guys will
Yep.
comply with the
Yes.
town
Yep.
engineer's requests, and that you will, the gentleman and gentle lady agreement, provide the information Mr. Fowler and
About
myself
screening.
asked for as far as
Screening.
what we can do about screening.
Maybe some photos for the,
Yes.
For the flag, yeah. All right, and that, that's just to be submitted.
Yep.
Is that it? Sound right? All right, so there's the motion. Do I have a second?
second.
Motion made and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries.
Set.
Good luck.
Great, thank you.
Thank you all very much. Thank you.
All right. With that, we move on to old business. Does anybody have any old business they wish to discuss?
Anna had some things, right?
I'm going to leave that for correspondence, if that's okay.
We have-
Any new business?
We have the letter from Anna on,
I'm going to do that under correspondence, just, not correspondence, I'm sorry. Actually, we're missing a category. We don't have the, we're missing one on the lines. That's fine, we'll do it here. We'll do it under new business then.
Throw it away.
So we have the letter that Anna provided us on some of our questions from last week. I already took a look. Does anybody have any questions or comments on any of those items?
That's the question I had was, why is traffic an issue on the hotel?
All right, so before we do on the hotel one, could I just because it's the last one on there, right? Or is it? No, it's not. Okay, so no, actually, we'll do that now then.
Or that's the third.
That's fine. Okay, yep.
So, for the information that I was given, I was told that for the litigation that the other items were dismissed and that all the judge needs to look at is the traffic, that I wasn't provided details on why.
Okay. Was it traffic or was it access to the site? Traffic.
It's the traffic.
All right, so the only other thing on that is, I foolishly forgot to hit send on the response email that I had when I received that from Anna earlier. You'll all find that in your email, because I sent it when I sat down tonight. But the gist of my comment was to find out whether or not, or what information has been provided, because I don't really understand that either. And I was asking that it be confirmed that, you know, not just the traffic information from the consultant was going in, but the enormous amount of time and effort that the board made in discussing it, in requesting, not the least of which was asking them to turn the building 180 degrees and bring the entrance in off of International Drive instead of North Street, specifically in addressing traffic. So there's a lot of information that I don't know, maybe it has been submitted, I don't know, but I did ask that that be confirmed, because this board spent, quite a bit of time on the traffic issue during those hearings, a lot. So I feel like, I want to be sure that that information is getting in on our behalf, because again, the consultant was the one who, highlighted, some issues and, let us know whether or not some of the fixes, seem like they'd work, that's fine. But if the question is whether or not we did what we were supposed to do, I'd like it to be certain that all the things we did are included in the information that they're reviewing. So that was what I asked, and that's what you'll see in the email that I sent that I was requesting. So I apologize that I forgot to hit send earlier today.
Yeah, and I'll look into that for you. And
You know-
report back in this meeting, so.
Excuse me, Steve,
Yep.
the thing is, that was like, I was at that meeting when you brought it up for approval. And the thing is, the traffic that goes in and out of a hotel is not like the traffic that goes in and out of Raytheon. It's not a 7 o'clock, it's not a 4 o'clock, where they have a police officer there. Hotel people come in, they can come in at 12 at night, 3 in the morning, or 7 o'clock in the morning. The traffic is altogether different.
Right.
And it's rated, it should be rated different. And I hope it's being expressed.
So that's on the hotel one. And then the only other one I guess we'd be looking for a comment was, I guess it's actually the one above it, the I-storage one, what the board's feeling is on the tree heights.
To be honest with you, Mr. Chairman, I could never realize that the shrubs that were put there were as small as 4 feet.
So, can I clarify?
Sure.
Okay. So I went by the site and I didn't go out and measure them, but the 4 or 5 feet, I'm referring to the original site plans.
Right.
And so that's what originally was approved in
Right.
1987. So that's my question, that's why I posed these questions to you to go.
No, I'm surprised that they were that small. That's all.
Because they really grew
But
when they came down.
that was their start size.
That's
Yeah,
start
right.
size,
Oh,
that's
I
the-
understand that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So 20 years.
So
They
what are
don't
they
even
now?
look 5 feet. They look like they're just out of place. Looks like you cut them with a lawnmower.
What are they right now?
Yeah, so, I went by the site, I didn't measure them. They looked to me, or visually, to be under 4 feet. But what happened was, the previous town planner, Kyle Boyd, he was working with the previous owner, this July, about the landscaping to replace the trees they had taken down, the existing trees, and then put in these new ones at the end of July. But now going by the site, it doesn't appear to be in compliance with the 4 or 5 feet. So, currently on our zoning bylaw, if you put in evergreens, they have to be 8 feet. So that's where I'm posing the question of, are we enforcing the 4 or 5
That's
feet?
right. I think the problem, Anna, is the fact that when they put them in, they never foresaw that as close as they put them to the building, they would do what they did, because they were there for almost 20 years. And then all of a sudden, one year, they go, poop, they all tip over. So if they gave them a little bit of room behind them, they wouldn't have that problem. But 6 to 8 feet is fine with me.
So I guess this is what I would say is that, I mean, everybody who goes by, everybody can tell it doesn't look right now. It definitely looks sparse.
Out of place.
I don't, you know, I'm not necessarily, you know, interested in forcing them to go out and get bigger trees to plant right now. But in lieu of that, I'm wondering if maybe there aren't some, you know, whether there's some bushing that they can put in to break up that spacing now, because it's just so stark because of, you know, the small size of what's there now versus what was there. It feels like it's been clear cut. That's the way it looks to someone driving by. So if they would be, you know, maybe you could check in with them and see if they might be willing to put in, you know, a few, you know, bushes in between or whatever to sort of break up the building.
Or to be honest with you, the bushes that they put in there, they're not very dense. You can see right through them.
Right.
And
Just
that's
see
the way
what
they're
they
gonna
might be
look forever.
willing to do to make us, you know, happier. I think would be the easiest way to put it.
For the bushes, can you clarify what height that would be, just like, you know,
I mean,
what,
a typical,
foot,
I'm not looking for something up the whole wall, but just, it'll just break things up a little bit. And obviously, they're year-round, you know, looking for year-round, you know, so that evergreen, you know, so that you're always gonna have something sort of breaking that up, and, you know, while we're waiting for the trees to, you know, grow, there's something that's gonna consistently be there to break up that look.
Anna, if I may, Mr. Chairman, if you found something in the bylaw that says 8 feet,
I'm sorry?
if you said you found something in the bylaw that specified that they should be at least 8 feet,
Yes, if it's an evergreen tree,
yes,
it has to be 8 feet at the time of planting,
fine,
yeah.
then that would be it then.
So it seems like a letter to the owners that are there now, saying we're not happy with what's been planted there.
We basically like
In front of
them
the planning
to,
board discussing it, there's a number of complaints about it. Need to do something about it, maybe not now, but we're looking at maybe an 8-foot tree, comes the spring or something, I don't know, I mean, something along those lines. So
basically, we'd like to avoid number 2 in our options, but if they make it necessary, then we're probably gonna have to have them come in here and talk about it some more. We'd prefer not to have to do that.
Okay, so, great, so I will compose a letter to the owners, the current owners, and discuss the landscaping of bushes that are evergreens, and then are we suggesting that in the spring, we want 8-foot trees put in?
I would say something that we want to restore it the way it was in the past, so that we couldn't see the blocking that's there now. It seems like it's just barren, and, or something along those lines, I don't know, but something that make them aware that something has to be done to, you know,
A little bit more than what we've
Anna,
done.
Anna, if I may, this all came up years ago when the town manager called the original structure the Berlin Wall, because there was nothing there. There was, the front part of the building was lower and had glass in it. Then all of a sudden, you've got this elongated area that was nothing but masonry. So what we suggested was, agreeing with him, that they just put a shrubs, evergreen shrub, at the sections where the sections broke. And it was fine.
All right, so, so in my letter, I will put that the trees can be 4 or 5 feet. Would that be acceptable to the board at the time of planting, or would you like to see 8 feet, just to clarify that?
Well, they already have them in now, right? Isn't that the?
Yeah.
So I'm not necessarily asking that they I'm not asking that they take out what they have. What I'm saying is that what's there now is not sufficient to do what's meant to be done. They can suggest whatever they want, but we're suggesting that whether it be bushes, bigger trees, whatever it is, something needs to be done to break that up. They can suggest what they'd like to do and submit it back to the board. I mean, you know, that's going to range anywhere from, we don't want to do anything, to we'll do A, B, C, D. And then we'll go from there, I guess. But obviously, like I said, impressing upon them that we prefer not to have to bring them in here to do that,
Yeah.
you know, but that will be up to them.
All right, that's good for me.
All right?
In their deference, though, we originally only wanted them to replace what was damaged, which were all of the trees. And that they were the ones at those pilings. So if we're asking them to put more than they had, that's not the original subject.
But even if those trees grew, they wouldn't cover. What are they gonna cover? You know what I mean? The thing is, you'd want something
Let's see what we get back.
that was,
anyways.
yeah, let's go from there. Instead of beating a dead horse, I mean, I just don't see those trees covering anything.
All right, so that was old and new. Any correspondence?
How about number 4?
Maybe we just get more information on those.
Yeah,
I
so
mean-
I can, I notified the property owner about the construction complaint with the vehicles via email. So that was a correspondence with that.
And the second one, I mean, the question's gonna be between the complaint versus what we asked them to do. If they did what we asked them to do, well, I understand the complaint, there's not really much we're gonna be able to do. If they haven't done what we asked them to do, then that's different, but, you know, register the complaint, but I mean, again, if they've already complied with what we asked for, kinda is what it is. But yeah, if we can just find out on the second one.
Yeah,
Like, I don't understand, like, it's not, what does second concern is the landscaping of trees along the property line? Not enough, too many, wrong kind, like, I don't know what that,
Are they completed there? They're not completed yet, are they?
that's what I mean, so I don't know, like, what that complaint exactly
the
is.
complaint is that it's not sufficient screening.
Yeah.
So I could clarify that better. So what was approved was for the owner to leave the existing tree line, which I drove by it, I did not get out. It looked like those remain. And I know that the previous town planner had also received complaints about this property as well recently, this year. So, yeah, it was suggested to me that, to bring this to the planning board to notify you about it.
Well, I mean, if they're doing what we asked them to do, that's one thing. If they're not doing what we asked them to do, that's something different. I mean, we can take a look at the landscaping if people think that it's not sufficient, but,
Can you pull up the approved plan for our next meeting, maybe, and then see what we finalized? I know it was some screening, but to what degree, I guess, maybe, Stephen?
Sure, yep, I can do that.
all right. So, correspondence, kind of covered that. Take a motion for adjournment.
Motion to adjourn.
All right, motion made and second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries.
Have a great
Good evening.
Thanksgiving.
Oh, Thanksgiving, and good luck to the high school football team.
And we just have